Okay, good afternoon. Welcome. I'm Dan Garodnick, Chair of the City Planning Commission, Director of the Department of City Planning. Welcome to today's review session of the City Planning Commission. We are joined today by Vice Chair Knuckles, Commissioners Benjamin, Bozorg, Cerullo, Dweck, Gold, Goodrich, Kermani, Osorio, and Rampersad. And before we get to today's agenda, I would like to highlight a recent affordable housing announcement by Mayor Adams. In fiscal year 2023, the Adams administration produced nearly 27,000 income-restricted homes through new construction and preservation deals closed by the Department of Housing Preservation and Development, HPD, the New York City Housing Authority, and the New York City Housing Development Corporation. That number represents a 22% increase over the prior year. Part of that housing production includes more new supportive homes and homes for the formerly homeless than any year in New York City's history. Each one of those numbers represents a new permanent home for a New Yorker and a sign of our ongoing progress to tackle our housing crisis. Many of these homes are thanks to the work of the Department of City Planning and of this commission, and I could not be prouder of what we have achieved. There's much more to come, but thanks to all of you. I also would like to thank the NYPD's 103rd precinct for inviting us to join them at National Night Out Against Crime. I was happy to represent the Adams administration at McCaffrey Park in Midtown with Midtown South, the Midtown South precinct, but the city planning team was also out at Rufus King Park in Jamaica to talk to residents about their vision for a more resilient and thriving Jamaica, part of our initial outreach for the Jamaica Neighborhood Plan. If you missed it, though, no worries, as our survey on community priorities is still available on our website in English and Spanish. You can fill it out and learn more about this important planning effort at nyc.gov/Jamaica Plan. We also spent part of last weekend, the last weekend of July, at the Department of Transportation's Open Streets events in Queens and Staten Island, speaking to New Yorkers about our City of Yes initiatives for a greener, more affordable, and small business-friendly New York City. More information is available on all three of these vital projects at nyc.gov/City of Yes. Finally, it is a bittersweet week at the Department of City Planning as we will be saying farewell to our summer interns this Friday. This year's class of 23 worked in divisions throughout the agency, from the borough offices to environmental review, climate and sustainability, to housing, capital planning, to urban design, and much more. They were an immense help on City of Yes, our neighborhood plans, and just the day-to-day work that tends to come up. With the amount of dedication and enthusiasm that I saw from this group, it is clear that the future of New York City is in great hands. To all of them, we thank you so much for joining us. Now, for today's agenda, we have two Manhattan projects back before us looking to renew special permits. The first is the Hospital for Special Surgery. Located on the Upper East Side, the hospital received a special permit in 2008 to allow the construction of its proposed river building to be built over the FDR Drive, similar to previous buildings that have done so as part of its complex. The permit was first renewed in 2017 and is now back for a second renewal. Moving further downtown, we'll hear about a special permit renewal for 116 West 23rd Street in the Ladies Mile Historic District, the site of the Burlington Coat Factory. They're looking for renewal of their 2018 special permit for their blade and flag signs. Then we're going to do some pre-public hearing reviews of the Tompkinsville Esplanade, Belmont Osborne, 180 Schermerhorn, 703 Myrtle Avenue. So we will look forward to all of that. And with that, I'm going to turn this over to you, Sarah. The floor is now yours.
Good afternoon, and welcome to the City Planning Commission Review Session for Monday, August 7th, 2023. The time is 1:04 p.m., and a quorum is present in the hearing room of 120 Broadway. The first item on the agenda is a post-referral review of a renewal of a previously approved special permit in Manhattan Community District 8. Presenting to the Commission for the first time is Francesca Bruce.
All right, Francesca, welcome.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Pleased to finally be here with you. And I will. Wonderful. This is a private application by the Hospital for Special Surgery for a second renewal of a special permit to facilitate the construction of a 12-story hospital building known as the River Building on a demapped airspace over the FDR in Manhattan Community District 8. Pursuant to ZR Section 1143, a special permit may be renewed for 2 additional 3-year terms, provided the facts upon which it was granted have not substantially changed since its approval. To clarify, this references the original project proposal and findings and not changes in other considerations. So we will walk you through the full proposal now, the findings that it met at the time of its original approval, and then circle back to the required findings for the renewal at the end. The image on the right is showing the project context looking west at the project site from the East River. The Hospital for Special Surgery, or HSS, is located in Manhattan's Upper East Side, with its main hospital campus highlighted here in orange, located adjacent to and over the FDR Drive between former East 70th Street and East 72nd Street. There are 4 existing buildings within the HSS campus. First, HSS's main building is comprised of the East Wing building built on a platform over the FDR Drive, and secondly, the West Wing building immediately west of the East Wing. The 2 buildings are internally connected and generally located between East 71st and former East 70th Street. Thirdly, the Casbury building, used for ambulatory care, physician and staff offices, and radiology clinics, is located on the northern side of East 71st Street. And lastly, the Bel Air building, a mixed-use community facility and residential building, is located on the southern side of East 72nd Street, with its main entrance located on a privately owned public plaza facing East 71st Street. The subject of this application is the demapped airspace over the FDR Drive outlined here in a dashed yellow line east of the Casbury building. This slide shows the land use map with north at the top. The zoning lot is outlined in black, and the project site is outlined in a dashed yellow line. The area to the north and west of the site is mainly residential, consisting of 5 to 6-story multifamily apartment buildings and high-rise towers. And there are some commercial uses in the vicinity, but the prevailing use in the area consists of community facility and institutional use. Of note, the Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center's new ambulatory care center is 2 blocks north of the site. New York Presbyterian Hospital is 2 blocks south, and Weill Cornell's Center for Reproductive Medicine is 2 blocks southwest. HSS, along with Rockefeller University and New York Presbyterian Hospital, have built over the FDR in several locations pursuant to a 1973 agreement between the city and these institutions intended to facilitate their future expansions. In accordance with the procedures laid out in this agreement, the City Planning Commission and the Director of Department of City Planning may approve other actions to facilitate development. HSS has received a series of approvals from the CPC and the chair over the years for the expansion of their campus on and around the project site, including special permits, city map amendments, zoning text amendments, dispositions, and special approvals pursuant to enabling legislation allowing for the expansion of HSS's campus over adjacent streets. On August 11, 2008, the CPC granted a special permit under Section 74-682 to allow for the development of the River Building in a demapped airspace over the FDR Drive and modifications to loading berth requirements through a text amendment. The CPC also approved a map amendment to eliminate, discontinue, and close portions of the FDR Drive and related volumes for the building's structural columns. Pursuant to ZR Section 1142, a special permit will lapse if substantial construction has not been completed within 4 years of the effective date of approval, unless judicial proceedings have been instituted, in which case the 4-year lapse period will commence on the date of entry of the final order in such proceedings. Post-approval, the applicant faced judicial proceedings, and a final order was entered June 27, 2013. The first renewal of this special permit was approved in 2017 for a 3-year term. The building is currently under construction, but their special permit would have expired before they could reach the stage of completing substantial construction as required by ZR Section 1142. The special permit would lapse effective March 19th, 2023, and so the applicant filed an application for renewal of the special permit March 16th, 2023. These images show existing conditions around the project site. The first shows the view of the East 71st Street looking southeast towards the FDR Drive. The Casbury building is on the left with pedestrian bridge over 71st Street connecting it to the West Wing building on the right. The second image is the opposite view, looking northwest away from the FDR towards York Avenue. This image shows a closer look at the existing pedestrian bridge. Here, photo number 3 is facing northeast from East 71st Street and shows the Bel Air building, the privately owned public plaza, and the west side of the Casbury building. Photo number 4 shows the view from East 71st Street facing east over the FDR Drive. And this image shows the existing pedestrian bridge connecting to the East River Esplanade on the other side of the FDR Drive along the East River. Photo 5 shows the East Wing building over the FDR, facing southeast from the Casbury building, and photo number 6 is facing southeast towards the East Wing building and shows a portion of the FDR Drive that will be decked to facilitate the proposed project. The image on the right shows a plan view of the site with west at the top of the slide, and the FDR Drive and the East River running along the bottom. The project area is a single zoning lot, outlined here in black, consisting of approximately 79,700 square feet of lot area, and includes Block 1483, lots 23, 33, and 7501, bounded by East 72nd Street to the north and East 71st Street to the south, and Block 1482, part of Lot 9020, which includes a demapped airspace volume over the easterly half of East 71st Street and a portion of the FDR Drive. Lots 33 and 7501 are improved with the 43-story mixed-use Bel Air building and privately owned public space. Lot 23 is improved with the 8-story Casbury building. The project site is an approximately 15,300 square foot parcel of demapped airspace highlighted here in yellow over the FDR Drive and East 71st Street. The proposed project is a 12-story, 190-foot-tall hospital building known as the River Building, highlighted here in yellow. The new River Building will have a building area of approximately 87,000 square feet and be used for hospital and/or ambulatory care uses. This space would include 3 floors of inpatient beds, 1 floor of radiology services, and 1 floor of hospital support services. And the remaining 7 floors are expected to be used by the hospital spine and adult reconstruction and joint replacement surgeon for offices, exams, and conference rooms. The proposed building would set back 25 feet from its eastern zoning lot line at the East River bulkhead, but the support columns for the platform and the structural bracing would extend to the East River Esplanade shown on this plan in green. The elevation drawing on the right is looking west towards the proposed river building from the East River. FDR Drive runs under the proposed building, and the East River Esplanade is located along the East River. And the elevation shows a better view of the V-shaped support columns for the platform and the structural bracing that would be threaded between the halves of the existing East 71st Street pedestrian overpass switchback, highlighted here in purple, which descends to the East River Esplanade. In addition to the 12-story building, HSS would construct a new enclosed pedestrian bridge over East 71st Street, which would connect the 3rd floors of the proposed river building to the main hospital through the East Wing building. The bridge would be used by doctors, staff, and patients who require access to the main building and the river building, and to facilitate the movement of equipment and supplies. Since the proposed river building is built over the FDR Drive, it requires modification of the loading berth requirements for not providing 1 new loading berth. If treating the entire HSS campus, shown here in gray, as a single zoning lot, 2 off-street loading berths would be required for the amount of hospital-related floor area in the proposed river building, Casbury building, Bel Air building, East Wing building, and West Wing building combined. HSS has 2 existing loading berths on the south side of East 71st Street, illustrated here in purple, and a loading area on the north side of former East 70th Street that accesses the storage facilities of the East Wing building. These loading facilities would be accessible to uses within the river building through the existing and proposed covered pedestrian building bridges over East 71st Street. As part of the 2008 approval, HSS agreed to comply with certain operational controls for the loading areas, and these have been implemented. The original special permit was granted under ZR Section 74-682 for the development of a 12-story hospital building in a deep-mapped airspace over a portion of the FDR Drive and modifications of the loading berth requirements of ZR Section 2570. The application met the required findings at the time of approval, and these included that the development results in a good site plan, that the loading berths adequately serve the institution's needs, are accessible without crossing streets, and don't impede vehicles or pedestrians. The applicant requests a second renewal of the special permit under ZR Section 1143. Pursuant to this section, a special permit renewal may be granted, provided the facts upon which the original special permit was granted have not substantially changed. Since there are no changes to the proposal as approved in the original special permit, the department believes the applicant has met the findings of ZR Section 1143 and recommends approval. The project was referred to Community Board 8, which voted unanimously to approve the renewal on July 17th, 2023. And so in summary, the applicant seeks a second renewal of a 2008 special permit pursuant to ZR Section 1143 to facilitate the 12-story river building over a portion of the FDR and to permit the modification of their loading berth requirements. Thank you very much, and I'm pleased to answer any questions.
Excellent. Excellent job. Thank you. I have a couple of questions from colleagues. Let me just seek 2 quick points of clarification. One of them was as it relates to the timing of the renewal. So you noted that the first renewal was granted in 2017.
Correct.
And that was for a term of?
3 years.
Okay. And we are in 2023.
Correct.
So one might say, wait a minute, what happened to those other 3 years? And I believe there is an answer to that question.
Yes, thank you. There was a hiatus due to the pandemic, so there was a pause on the lapse of all special permits, and so that would have come up in March of this year. Okay,
got it. Vice Chair Knuckles.
Chair, you are clairvoyant.
That was your question. Okay, let me see if there are other questions or comments. Commissioner Osorio.
Thank you, Chair. Thanks for the presentation. One really quick question. I couldn't find information about the location of the berths in relation to the floodplain. Are they inside, outside? Can you say a little bit?
I believe the entire campus is within the floodplain.
But the berths, okay, so...
The coastal zone, I should say.
Oh, got it. But in terms of the existing and the projected floodplain, do we know or can we know where the berths are specifically? I'm assuming that they're farther away. I mean, it looks like, especially the ones on 71st, but that's just a question that I didn't see kind of like answered in the materials. And so I'm wondering if you can share a little bit or help us understand a little bit whether we're okay in that regard.
That's a good question. I don't currently have the answer to that for you right now.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm happy to get back to you with that.
Thank you. Other questions? This is the moment we are intending to take a vote today and send this one off to the Department of Buildings, but just want to make sure that we're ready for that. Okay, seems like we are. Okay, any other questions, comments? And we'll follow up on that last point, Commissioner. Okay, seeing none, I am going to seek assent by a voice vote now to send an approval letter to the Buildings Department on this matter. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Great, thank you. And I will note that Commissioner Marin has joined us on Zoom and Commissioner Crowell in the room. Francesca, great job. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, let's move on.
The second item on the agenda is a post-referral review of a renewal of a previously approved special permit in Manhattan Community District 4. Our presenter is Olivia Olmos.
Welcome, Olivia.
Good afternoon, Commissioners and Chair. Let's give it a minute.
It'll be up in a sec.
This is a private application by Burlington Coat Factory of Texas requesting renewal of a 74-711 special permit pursuant to ZR Sections 1143 to modify signage regulations to permit non-conforming commercial signs on a commercial building within a historic district at 116 West 23rd Street in Chelsea, Community District 4, Manhattan. ZR 1143 outlines the renewal of the special permit provision, which allows the Commission to renew a special permit if the facts upon which the permit was granted have not substantially changed. So this essentially means that the proposed project has not changed. The project site is located at the intersection of the Chelsea and Flatiron neighborhoods, fronting on 6th Avenue between West 22nd and West 23rd Streets, and located within the Ladies Mile Historic District, which was designated in 1989. The site straddles 3 zoning districts, C6-2A, C6-3X, and C6-3A, and the surrounding area consists of commercial and mixed commercial and residential uses. 6th Avenue is heavily trafficked street. There's many large retail tenants, and the site is well served by transit. This view looks north to show the area context. The neighboring buildings are high to mid-rise and historic in character, with many buildings constructed in the early 1900s. The project site is highlighted here in orange. It's a 5-story commercial building with approximately 169,500 square feet of use group 6 and 10 commercial floor areas. The building nearly occupies the entire eastern block front with approximately 172 feet of frontage on 6th Avenue, 208 feet of frontage on West 22nd Street, and 90 feet of frontage on West 23rd Street. There are multiple establishments occupying the ground floor of the building, including Burlington Coat Factory that has its main entrance on West 23rd Street, and Burlington Coat Factory occupies approximately 82,000 square feet on the 1st through 3rd floors and approximately 10,000 square feet in the cellar level. The 6th Avenue mid-block portion of the building includes a DXL men's apparel store and a vacant storefront formerly occupied by Essen Deli. And Blue Mercury, a cosmetics store, occupies a storefront on the southern corner of the building with frontage along 6th Avenue and West 22nd Street. In 1995, Landmarks Preservation Commission granted the owner of the building a certificate of appropriateness for the projecting vertical blade sign, and the blade sign was installed. In 2012, LPC approved the 13 flag signs in a certificate of no effect. In 2014, 9 of those 13 flag signs were installed, including 7 along 6th Avenue and 2 along West 22nd Street. Although LPC approved the blade and flag signs, sign permits were never issued by DOB. So later that year, in fall 2014, LPC issued a modification of use and bulk report to the City Planning Commission to support the application for a special permit under 74-711, seeking waivers to maintain the blade sign. This report was amended in 2017 to include the 13 flag signs. In 2018, the CPC approved the original special permit application for waivers to permit the blade and flag signs. However, the restrictive declaration outlining the continued maintenance program under 74-711 was neither executed nor recorded, and therefore DOB permits could not be issued, and substantial construction was not completed within a 4-year period. This is why the special permit automatically lapsed in September of 2022, at which point the applicant filed for renewal of the special permit. Here's a view along 6th Avenue, looking west towards the project site. This view shows 7 existing flag signs circled in pink and 1 existing blade sign that reads Burlington Coat Factory outlined in blue. Here's a view of the project site facing north from the intersection of West 22nd Street and 6th Avenue. The frontage along West 22nd Street shows the location of 2 existing flag signs circled in pink and 1 proposed flag sign circled in a dashed pink line. And here's a view of the project site outlined in orange, facing south along West 23rd Street. The frontage along West 23rd Street shows the location of the proposed flag signs, the 3 proposed flag signs. This slide shows the site signage. The blade sign is outlined in blue. The existing flag signs are circled in pink, and the proposed flag signs are circled in a dashed pink line. The plan includes 1 existing blade sign and 7 existing flag signs along the 6th Avenue frontage, 2 existing flag signs and 1 proposed flag sign along the West 22nd Street frontage, 3 proposed flag signs along the West 23rd Street frontage. This slide shows a closer look at the existing blade sign located on the 6th Avenue facade. It's an illuminated, dual-faceted accessory sign measuring 31 feet, 4 inches high. The majority of the sign is 3 feet and 6 inches wide, but the width increases to 6 feet and 2 inches for the lower portion of the sign. The sign is installed approximately 25 feet above the curb and projects 7 feet across the sidewalk on 6th Avenue. This slide shows a closer look at a typical flag sign. There are 9 existing flag signs and 4 proposed flag signs located along the 3 building frontages. The flag signs are double-sided, non-illuminated banners located in flagpoles at the location of historic flagpole anchors. The banner portion of each sign has a surface area of 14 square feet and measured 6 feet and 11 inches high and 3 feet wide. Each sign is installed 12 feet above the curb and projects 4 feet and 6 inches across the sidewalk. This elevation shows the 6th Avenue frontage with 7 existing flag signs and 1 existing blade sign. This elevation shows the West 22nd Street frontage with 2 existing flag signs and 1 proposed flag sign. This elevation shows the West 23rd Street frontage with the 3 proposed flag signs. The applicant is seeking their first special permit renewal pursuant to ZR Section 1143 of a ZR Section 74711 special permit for signage waivers for a building in a historic district. The original 74711 special permit modified height and projection restrictions on the signage to allow for the legalization of the existing blade sign, 9 existing flag signs, and 4 proposed flag signs. The applicant met the findings of the original 74711 special permit at the time of approval by providing a report confirming support from LPC and establishing a continuing maintenance program for the building. The Commission found that the signs are not disproportionate in size or character to the neighborhood and would have a minimal adverse effect on the conforming uses within the building and in the surrounding area. To renew the special permit, the Commission shall find that the facts upon which the permit was originally granted have not substantially changed, and there are no changes proposed to the approved special permit as part of this renewal, and the Department recommends approval. Community Board 4 referred to their previous letters of support and abstained from making a recommendation. In summary, the applicant is seeking their first special permit renewal pursuant to ZR Section 1143 to permit 1 blade sign and the 13 flag signs. Thank you. Happy to take any questions.
Great, thank you. Quite a range between the 2 special permits, one involving decking over the FDR Drive for a hospital and one for permission of 13 signs on 23rd and 6th. Let me just pose a couple of questions for clarification, then we'll go to Commissioner Benjamin. In 2018, when the permit was approved, you noted that the restrictive declaration was neither executed nor recorded, and as a result, the Department of Buildings permits could not be issued, and therefore no substantial completion could be achieved. If we were to approve this renewal and send such a communication to the Department of Buildings, would that then prompt the same set of events again, a restrictive declaration to be executed, recorded, and a DOB permits issued here so as to eliminate the need for them to come back the next go around?
I believe that's the standard process.
Okay, so if they were to file their paperwork and DOB permits issued, then they would become substantially complete.
It would be deemed substantially compliant.
Yeah,
correct.
Okay, all right. Commissioner Benjamin?
Yeah, I was just wondering, the blade sign extends over the public sidewalk, although it is 25 feet. Do they require a revocable consent for that?
You know, I'm not sure about that, actually. Yeah, we can look into whether that's required. Yeah, due to the 7-foot projection across the sidewalk, I think that would likely be necessary, but I can follow up on that for you.
Okay, I would appreciate it. And second, in writing the letter, I have no idea why they didn't choose to execute the restrictive declaration or to pursue it, but I do think we should put them on notice that if the same occurs again, we might not be interested in renewing a third time.
Yeah, sure. I hear you, and we thought, I somewhat anticipated the question, you know, you don't want to be seen as rewarding behavior that doesn't follow, so I hear your recommendation.
If that's okay, Chair.
I think that would be fine. I'm a little surprised that they didn't do it the first time, and I also think that it seems kind of like a no-brainer here that they should and would, but I think that point is a fair one. Commissioner Rampersad?
Yeah, I mentioned you said they didn't file any signs with DOB. Are they planning on filing the signs?
Yes, that's correct.
I just checked. I was just looking in the system. I didn't see anything in the biz or the DOB now, so okay. As long as they're stating they're going to file the sign. So, thank you.
Or should we vote on this one? Okay. All right. With all appropriate warnings issued, let us take a vote on this one. And this would be for the renewal of the special permit to allow the blade and flag signs. I'm seeking assent by a voice vote to send an approval letter to the buildings department. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Great, thank you.
One quick caveat.
Yes, go ahead, Commissioner.
If it is determined that they need to have a revocable consent.
Yeah, that would be an entirely different conversation. That's right. But yes, we will follow up on that point for sure. Good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Let's move on to our pre-public hearing reviews. Sarah?
The third item on the agenda is a pre-hearing review of site selections and a city map change in Staten Island Community District 1. Our presenter is Rasika Diosali.
Hello, welcome.
Hello. Good afternoon, Chair and Commissioners.
Good afternoon.
I'm Rasika Diosali from Staten Island office presenting the Tompkinsville Esplanade and DOT-PO project. This is a public application submitted by New York City Department of Citywide Administrative Services, DCAS, Department of Transportation, DOT, and Department of Parks and Recreation, DPR, selecting two site selection actions to select city-owned properties located on the waterfront at the eastern terminus of Victory Boulevard to be maintained as public open space and to construct a new purpose-built permanent pier along with the operations and maintenance building for DOT dock builders. The city also seeks a change in the city map to facilitate new waterfront esplanade along the Murray Herbert Avenue to be renamed as Cromwell Promenade, along with mappings for Lions Pool and an adjacent at-grade parking lot to the south as a parkland. During certification, the Commission requested additional drawings to showcase the operations on the pier and its relationship with New Esplanade. The pier would be accessible to both passenger and commercial vehicles via a proposed vehicular ramp as seen on the slide. The new Esplanade at the location of the pier would include a pavement markings to alert Esplanade pedestrians and bicyclists of the presence of an active vehicle crossing, which would also be separated by a gate as seen in the top right image. The DOT Operations and Maintenance Building, which is raised out of the floodplain per the building code, is seen on the left-hand side image on this slide. The proposed pier would serve as a home port to receive lumber deliveries for dock builders' operation, which will be stored on site until it is barged to where it's needed in the city. The applicant team will be in attendance at the public hearing to go over the DOT pier in more detail, in addition to Victory Point and Cromwell Promenade, as well as to answer any questions the Commission may have. With that, moving on towards the recommendation. The Staten Island Community Board 1 voted on June 13, 2023, recommending approval of the application by a vote of 28 in favor, none opposed or abstained, along with no conditions. Similarly, the Staten Island Borough President also voted in favor of the application without any conditions on July 13, 2023. This concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Great. Thank you for the prep. So we're going to pick this one up on Wednesday in a public hearing. Let me see if there are questions. Commissioner Cerullo?
Just a quick thank you, and looking forward to the public hearing on this, and not surprised, but very pleased about the support that this project has. But when this was certified, one of the questions that I had raised was about what the DOT structure was going to look like that was going to be built on the pier. And with that rendering, is that what they envision? Is somebody going to, I should just ask this, will somebody be here from DOT to talk about this facility and what it looks like and how it's going to operate and how it will relate to the promenade itself?
Yes, we anticipate people from DOT will be present on the public hearing.
Okay, terrific.
Yes.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Okay, great. Thank you very much. We will pick this one up at the public hearing on Wednesday.
Thank you.
Next up.
The fourth item on the agenda is a pre-hearing review of a zoning map and zoning text amendments in Brooklyn Community District 16. Our presenter is Juki Sai.
Welcome, Juki.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. This is a private application by Osborne Belmont Properties, LLC, that was certified on April 24th to facilitate two new 7-story developments totaling approximately 210,000 square feet, including 200 dwelling units and 34,000 square feet of retail space in the Brownsville neighborhood of Brooklyn, Community District 16. To facilitate the proposed developments, the applicant requests a zoning map amendment from R6C13 and C43 districts to an R7A C24 district along a portion of 2 blocks situated by Belmont Avenue and Osborne Street, and a zoning text amendment to map an MIH area pursuant to options 1 and 2. At certification, several commissioners inquired about the project's financial viability and affordability levels. Since certification, the applicant has had discussions with HPD to explore subsidy programs that would increase the percentage of affordable housing beyond MIH. The applicant has also shared they intend to apply for LIHTC and New York State tax-exempt bonds. In tandem with these discussions, the applicant is also considering updates to the number of units, bedroom mix, and parking. I will share some of these updates and answers to questions that the Commission asked at certification. Also, the applicant is prepared to speak more about all of these matters at Wednesday's public hearing. First, the applicant shared the proposed updated bedroom mix: 50 studio apartments, 102 one-bedroom apartments, and 66 two-bedroom apartments for a total of 220 units between both buildings. 50 studio apartments, 102 one-bedroom apartments, and 66 two-bedroom apartments for a total of 220, and there are no proposed 3-bedroom apartments. Regarding the question on market rate rents in the area, according to current listings on Craigslist and StreetEasy, the market rates for apartments in Brownsville fell in the range of $1,800 for 1-bedrooms and $2,500 for 2-bedrooms. These numbers do not reflect the large number of NYCHA units in the immediate area. In response to a question about the businesses on the development sites, we wanted to reshare this aerial map that you can see here. At Building 1, the current use includes Dollar Tree and People's Choice Supermarket, the latter of which is owned and operated by the applicant. There are also 2 commercial spaces owned by the applicant. The applicant shared that when the tenants moved in, they were offered 6-month below-market leases in anticipation of this new development, and that one of those 2 tenants has vacated their space. At Building 2, the current use includes parking and storage for People's Choice Supermarket. There are no existing residential units on the development sites. The applicant can speak more to their communication with the current commercial tenants at public hearing on Wednesday. In response to a question about the area between the 2 segments of Building 2, That area is proposed to be occupied by a one-story commercial space with frontages on Osborne Street and Watkins Street. On June 27th, 2023, Community Board 16 voted 20 in favor, none opposed, and none abstaining to approve the application. Community Board 16 also attached a commitment letter from the applicant stating efforts to partner with the Central Brooklyn Economic Development Corporation on MWBE hiring and training, to connect local residents to the affordable housing opportunities in these developments, and to report on development progress after ULURP. On July 11th, the borough president held a public hearing, and on July 31st submitted a recommendation to approve the application with no conditions. That concludes my presentation. I'll take any questions.
Great. Thank you, Juki. Thanks for the prep for Wednesday. Let me see if there are questions. Commissioner Goodrich?
Thank you.
My question is, considering that it is a very low-income area, it's in Brownsville, I am a bit concerned that none of the units are extremely low, and you know I was going to ask this question.
Yeah.
None of them are extremely low income, particularly for the area. Is there any thought to whether that will change?
Commissioner Goodrich, thank you for asking that question. That's something we're going to let the applicant speak to on this, just because they have the most up-to-date information on the financing and their plans for these units, but they'll be here on Wednesday and encourage you to follow up with them on that. And they know to be expecting that.
Thank you.
Commissioner Osorio?
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for the presentation, and thanks for clarifying some of the questions, concerns that we raised earlier. Appreciate that. And just to clarify, to confirm, there are existing commercial but not industrial tenants, right now?
Yes, so building 2, I can go back. Well, on the land use map, you see probably in the briefing package, those are purple to indicate industrial. The use, as we currently understand it, is storage and parking.
Thanks.
Okay, great. Well, thank you, Juki. We will pick this up on Wednesday. Thank you for your efforts here.
Thanks, everyone.
All right, let's move on to item 5.
The fifth item on the agenda is a pre-hearing review of a special permit and a post-referral review of an authorization in Brooklyn Community District 2. Our presenter is Jesse Hirakawa.
Hello, Jesse.
Hello. Awesome, thank you. So this is a pre-hearing presentation for a 180 Skirmahorn Street parking lot. You'll hear from the applicant on Wednesday for the public hearing. As a reminder, this project was certified back in April on the 24th. So this is a private application by Edison Properties for a zoning special permit and authorization to facilitate the increase in capacity of an existing public parking facility with a corner landscaped open space located in the southern portion of downtown Brooklyn in Community District 2 at 180 Skirmahorn Street. The applicant is seeking a zoning special permit pursuant to Section 74-52 to increase the capacity of an existing public parking facility from 150 spaces to 245 spaces. Also, there's a zoning authorization pursuant to Section 37-952 to modify the landscape requirements of parking lots in Section 37-921. Here is the approved site plan that will show the applicant's proposal of the said attended public parking lot that includes parking lifts. You'll see in the bottom right, there are 21 bicycle spaces. In the middle, throughout the parking lot, there are 12 reservoir spaces. Vehicles will enter from the north via a 12-foot wide curb cut on Skirmahorn, and they'll exit to the east on a 10-foot wide curb cut located on Hoyt Street. You will see, I hope the color is good. You'll see in the orange area, a landscaped area is planted with shrubs and ground cover, which will be provided along the perimeter of the parking area with a width of 4 feet, modified from the required 7 feet. This will also include a curb and 4-foot high decorative steel picket fence along the proposed parking lot. basically facing an edge between the landscape buffer and parking. Additionally, in yellow on the corner of Hoyt and Skirmahorn Streets, as a response to a reduction of that perimeter, a landscape area is going to be maintained by the applicant and proposed at a total of 858 square feet. The area is approximately 40 feet wide along Hoyt and 21 feet wide along Skirmahorn, and over half of it will be landscaped. Brooklyn Community Board 2 submitted a recommendation that actually resulted in waiving of their recommendation. However, in their considerations, they actually explained a little bit more what had happened, and I'll quote, "Following on May 17, 2023, of the public hearing, the Land Use Committee voted 5 in favor, 4 in opposition, and no abstentions to approve the project. Those opposed cited strong local opposition to the proposal and demand for a reimagination of the site for a public park or non-parking public good. At its subsequent June 14th meeting with the general body of the full board, the board voted to approve the committee's recommendation, yielding a vote of 13 in favor, 27 in opposition, with 2 abstentions. And those that opposed echoed the committee's vote. And there was no further motion presented following the failure of the first motion. So since the full board voted to disapprove of the subcommittee's recommendation, and then there was no motion after that, it resulted in a waiver of the recommendation. But we get the essence of kind of what happened. On July 11th, 2023, the Brooklyn Borough President's Office had a public hearing and submitted a recommendation of disapproval. And I'll also quickly quote him that Borough President Reynoso believes that the applicant's proposed development is inappropriate due to significant on-street modifications to the public right-of-way on Skirmahorn Street, the pending impacts of the desperately needed repairs to the BQE cantilever on traffic along Atlantic Avenue, and the impacts to local streets in downtown Brooklyn when congestion price is adopted. The Brooklyn Borough President believes that the city should do everything to discourage private vehicles from transiting downtown Brooklyn, which is characterized by significant high-density pedestrian traffic and excellent access to public transportation. The Borough President requests that the applicant consider a new proposal on the site that would achieve greater public purpose. The Borough President understands that refilling a different project at this location would require a rezoning, since, which I had previously mentioned as certification, all the available FAR on this site has been used adjacent, if you all recall. The Borough President would be supportive of the applicant undertaking a more robust community input process to propose a project that satisfies the community needs. As one of the only remaining undeveloped lots in downtown Brooklyn, it is critical that we carefully consider the site for uses other than the storage of private vehicles, end quote. So that was a submitted recommendation. Lastly, I have 2 more slides. I wanted to take this moment to address a few comments that the Commission had during certification, questions related to sustainability, location of the stormwater management tanks, utilization of the parking lot, and other screening or design implementations. I'm going to defer that to the applicant when they can describe on Wednesday. However, there are a few questions that I can address. The first one was related to stackers. Are they considered a building with FAR, and how tall can they be? I believe Commissioner Ramprashad, you had asked that earlier. And we believe that, or we know that stackers where the wheels on the tray, right, that's where we consider if it's higher than 23 feet, then that's considered FAR, right? And so the tallest point of where the wheels are sitting on the highest point is 20 feet. So these stackers are not going to be considered FAR, if that makes sense. So we don't talk about the tall, right, the height of the stacker, just where the wheels hit the structure. The question related to how the proposed open space can be ensured, I believe Osorio and Commissioner Benjamin, you also asked this among a few others. Unfortunately, I have roughly the same answer as last time, is that the corner landscape is part of the approved drawing set. So when the OB goes to approve these drawings, the open space will be built and constructed. However, the space is not a formal, publicly accessible open space. There is no legal basis to this, so there will be no restrictive deck that lives with this site to require some of the amenities and accessibilities that we usually see with publicly open space. Lastly, Commissioner Osorio, you asked a question about this special permit and how it's been utilized in the past, and how we feel they're performing now. And so we did a pool of this action special permit from the last few decades. There's actually been over 200 times since the 70s. And so, however, I'm going to speak to the more recent ones that were recently approved. All of these special permits were actually typically tied to other actions that were related to a map amendment or an action that facilitated the construction of or development of more residential and commercial, typically. My last slide. Hopefully I addressed all those questions. Otherwise, the other questions hopefully will be addressed on Wednesday. The last thing, at certification in April, I'll note that Chair Garodnick, among several of the other commissioners, you all stated how this site should be housing given its location and proximity to transit. And I'll state that the department would also agree that this site is a great opportunity for housing, given that could also include permanently income restricted housing. Additionally, I'll note that only 2 blocks to the east, back in 2017, it's slightly out of this map, apologies, but 2 blocks to the east, the commission did approve a zoning map amendment to extend a C64 district that runs north of Skirmahorn to the south of Skirmahorn to facilitate an enlargement of a new building with approximately 128 units, all affordable and supportive housing. And that was 2 blocks to the east. I would lastly remind the Commission that they are here to vote on this application, whether they believe the applicant is meeting the findings to expand the parking lot and also to modify the landscape design requirements. That completes my presentation.
Great. Thank you very much. I know there will be plenty of questions for the applicant on Wednesday. Let me go to Commissioner Benjamin here.
My question is, if this special permit is not renewed, is not given, the original 145 spaces?
150, yeah.
Will remain permitted, is that correct?
Yes.
So the parking lot will stay there with double stackers and with the landscaping or lack thereof that we see now?
Yeah, exactly. It will remain as is. This was a parking lot that's been there for quite a while now, and so they're basically asking if they could expand it.
But if they don't expand it, the existing parking lot remains?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Commissioner Osorio.
Thanks so much, Chair. Thank you for the presentation, and thanks so much for responding to our questions, and I really appreciate the research that you did to answer that last point. If you can share any of that with us, that would be great. I'm sure it would be useful for other proposals as well. Just a quick point on hoping. I'm hoping that you could really encourage the applicant to share the response to some of the recommendations about sort of what else could actually happen here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad that it sounds like the research, but some of the comments, I think, that we received, and including some of the questions from the Commission, seem to be inclining toward there's much more potential here.
Mm-hmm.
So really interested in hearing what's the response in that regard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the applicant is very well aware of the conversations we are having, so they'll definitely be ready to talk to you about that.
Because, you know, in a way, with a lot like this, you understand that they're trying to do what they can
mm-hmm.
with what they have.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting that maybe we can have a conversation about how to maximize public benefits on this particular, such a key piece of land. Thanks.
Agreed. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Rep.
Thank you also for responding to the question I had. Just going through our briefing packet, looking at their drawings, you know, just for clarity, I think it should be mentioned that they should mention 4-car stackers on their site plan and on their plans, because it doesn't show, it just shows the image that you show up
mm-hmm.
there. So just for clarification, because from our experience, whenever we did anything with the building department, that's the first thing they say, call it out. Mm-hmm. The other question I had was, you mentioned, is that 20 feet?
Mm-hmm.
So just a real technical term, are they measuring it from the base plane, or how is that determined? I'm just curious. And do we have a drawing from them to show that it will not exceed beyond that 20-foot height?
That is a very good. I don't know if we have a drawing that exactly, like a section cut drawing that shows the base plane to the. I don't believe we require that, but we can definitely ask.
Okay, on Wednesday I'll bring it up, just so they're on record. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Well, thank you very much, Jesse. We will see the applicant on Wednesday, and we'll pose all these questions, including alternative possibilities for them. at that time. So thank you.
Thank you.
And let me note, I owe an apology to Commissioner Marin. I did not realize he had his hand raised on our last item. Commissioner, let me just first ask if you still have a question on Belmont Osborne. If you do, Juki is here and ready and willing to answer. So let me just see if you still have that question.
Thank you. I do. And it's the same question I had when the project was first presented, and that is the lack of 3 bedrooms, knowing this community and the larger families that we encounter in this community. So I was just wondering if the applicant had a response for that.
Hi, Commissioner Marin.
Yes, and let me elaborate. And specifically now, even further, knowing that there are tax credits being applied for, there are more economic incentives being applied for that can actually lower the development cost of this development to begin with. So I'd like to hear what the applicant is thinking about on 3 bedrooms.
Commissioner Marin, sorry, I don't have an answer for that here. That's something the applicant will have to speak to on Wednesday, their proposed bedroom mix for this.
Thank you, Juki. I just wanted to keep it on the table and have the applicant not forget for Wednesday's presentation.
Absolutely. We'll let them know. Thanks, Commissioner.
Thank you, sir, and thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner. Great. Okay. Thank you. With that, let's move on to item number 6 on our agenda for today.
The 6th item on the agenda is a pre-hearing review of a zoning map and zoning tax amendments in Brooklyn Community District 3. Our presenter is Hanif Yassi.
Welcome. Good afternoon. All right, good afternoon. Thank you, Commissioners. My name is Hanif Yassi. I'll do a brief overview today. I'll wait for you. All right, there it is. So we'll do a brief refresher today on an application that's certified last April. This applicant will present on Wednesday. The application is by Ranco Capital, LLC, for a zoning map amendment from an M11 district to an R7D C24 district and a zoning text to map a mandatory inclusionary housing area to facilitate new 8-story multifamily residential building with approximately 48,000 square feet, or around 5.6 FAR, with 54 dwelling units, including 18 permanently income-restricted units at a total height of 95.6 feet. The project area is in the northwest section of the Bedford-Stuyvesant neighborhood of Brooklyn Community District 3 at 703 Myrtle Avenue, which is located along Myrtle Avenue between Spencer and Walworth Streets. The proposed development is 2 blocks west of Marcy Houses, the NYCHA development, situated along near South Williamsburg and Clinton Hill to its north and west. The proposed project area is located within the transit zone and is accessible to multiple bus and subway lines, including around half a mile from the Myrtle Willoughby and Bedford Nostrand G train stops. Yes. Community Board 3 voted in June 2023 to support the proposal on the condition that the building, quote, should not exceed 95 feet, with 33 in favor, 9 against, and 1 abstention. Brooklyn Borough President's Office voted on August 1st in favor of the application without any conditions. And that's all for today. Look forward to your questions.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Let me see if there are questions. Commissioner Osorio.
Thank you very much, Chair. Thanks for the presentation. I would love to encourage or ask if you can encourage the applicant when we discuss this to talk a little bit about the height of the building and whether or not, you know, like what is the rationale that got us there. Basically, that would be interesting. Other than that, it sounds to me like a consistent land use rationale. But I also just wanted to take advantage of the moment to maybe ask a question for the department, which is, I know that we've been talking about the need for a neighborhood-wide study regarding residential non-conforming uses in this area. I mean, we're talking about Myrtle Avenue, which is a commercial corridor, so that's why I mean that, what I mean when I say that the land use rationale here makes sense. but we are rezoning away from manufacturing. And so I just want to understand how much of this transition has already happened, where are we normalizing non-conforming uses, where are we heading, essentially, and what's the right balance? So I'm wondering if, I know that, Alex, I know that this is an ongoing conversation, but would love to take advantage of this to just flag that yet we have another sort of like a conversation in this regard.
I appreciate the question. Hi, everybody. Alex Summer, Director of the Brooklyn office. So it's a great question, and one that we've been challenged with the number of private applications in this area. So for your awareness, for everybody's awareness, we were awarded a grant to undertake a study for this geography. We're in the process of bringing on staff, working with environmental consultant process. So we'll have some more information once we get the scope of work and everything together. But the idea is definitely to look at this geography, parts of southern Williamsburg, and parts of the area outside of the Navy Yard in the Wallabout area, to look at resiliency, stormwater issues, but also land use, transportation, and so on. So we're taking this very seriously. It's a complicated area, and we want to make sure that we take the time to do it right.
Congratulations. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Commissioner. Okay, great. Well, we'll look forward to seeing 703 Myrtle Avenue on Wednesday. Thank you for being here. Okay, Sarah, what's next, if anything?
For Wednesday, August 9, 2023, staff have prepared reports for 280 Bergen Street Parking Special Permit, 4218 31st Avenue rezoning, 125 Greaves Lane, South Richmond zoning relief, Fire Alarm Telegraph Bureau, Bronx Central Office, Bronx Opera House, Firehouse Engine Company 88, Ladder Company 38. Also scheduled for a decision on Wednesday is 52 Nestle Street, Lot 30, an action pursuant to the Special South Richmond District. Scheduled for consideration on Wednesday, August 23rd, 2023 are 935 St. Nicholas Avenue building, Hotel Cecil and Minton's Playhouse building, John Burke's Dizzy Gillespie residence. Proposed hearing follow-ups, 2761 Plum 2nd Street rezoning. The Commission will recall the Department is recommending approval for this zoning map amendment. 244 East 106th Street, Share NYC. The Department will be providing a recommendation at the next review session in conjunction with a discussion of a related CPC certification for a transit easement that is currently in public review. 1460, 1480 Sheridan Boulevard. There was a letter in your package from the applicant that discusses the restoration measures that are part of the project, additional information on the connection to Starlight Park, and more details on the affordable housing. And I believe we are joined by Cesar Delgado from the Bronx office on Zoom.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm here to do the agency recommendation of the 1460 and 1480 Sheridan Boulevard rezoning application. The Department of Civil Planning recommends to the Commission to approve of the approval of the proposed sections of the zoning map amendment and zoning text amendment for the 1460-1480 Sheridan Boulevard development. The proposed development will facilitate the construction of 3 new 24-story buildings with approximately 970 housing units intended to be income restricted, retail spaces, and a waterfront public access area in the East Crotona Park neighborhood, Community District 9 at the Bronx. The agency recommends the development because together with its required actions, it aligns with the Department of City Planning objectives on helping with the development of income-restricted housing, creating local jobs, increasing the amount of open space, and providing public access to the waterfronts of New York City. After the post-hearing presentation given to you on Monday, July 10th, the applicant sent a letter to the Commission responding to the request of details on the project components related to the environment, the connection to Starlight Park, the unit affordability, the unit type distribution, and the environmental upgrades to the architecture. If more detail is required on any of the responses or there is any other concern that requires further explanation, I make myself available to request it from the applicant and provide it before the Commission's vote scheduled for Wednesday, August 23rd. Thank you very much, Chair and Commissioners.
Great. Thank you, Cesar.
City of Yes for carbon neutrality. The zoning team is working on a comprehensive response to questions raised at the public hearing and will be at the next review session to present.
Great. And at least at the calendar that I'm looking at, that looks like the end of the line for today. Am I reading it correct, Madam Secretary?
That is correct, sir.
That is correct. And with that, thank you all very much. We will see you Wednesday for a number of public hearings. With appreciation to the staff of the department for the preparation today, we are adjourned. Thank you.
The time is 2:05 p.m.
Hey, everybody. It was there. Longer than it, but there was